A very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is 12th of September 2020. Day is Saturday. I would like to start today's discussion with this quote by Matt Cameron. Live life to the fullest and focus on the positive. Give your best and focus on positive. And that's a very simple yet very profound statement. Whatever you do, try to give your 100%. And if you are expecting a result, think about something positive rather than negative. With this, dear friends, StudyIQ team has designed a smart course. This smart course is for Civil Services Examination. It covers your pre as well as mains examination, and to find out more about it, all you have to do is download our mobile application. Till 21st September 2020, EMI offer is available on all our smart courses. Make the most out of it. To download the PDF of today's lecture, in fact, I have already shared the PDF of today's lecture on my Telegram channel. So visit my Telegram channel and get the PDF from there. And you can follow me on Facebook as well. The first article that we have on our table is Pushback. This one is about USA and China. Now, recently, USA took a very important decision, keeping in mind the national security of USA. USA has decided to revoke or cancel the visas of 1,000 Chinese citizens. Now, most of this 1,000 or most of this people whose visas, or Chinese people whose visas are cancelled are, predominantly they are students and researchers. So you'd be thinking, how can a student or a researcher can be a threat for your country? How can they be a risk for or to your national security? The government of USA believes that these students and researchers, they have deep connections with Chinese military establishments. They come here, they get admissions to various different universities, they become researchers over here, they become part of the academic world, and then they are stealing or they are, using this back door to provide all this information to the universities and military establishments and governments at various different levels in China. Of course, they are providing this information or intellectual property of academia to China. I'm sure you'd be thinking, what exactly is intellectual property of academia? We have never heard about it before. We have heard about intellectual property rights. But what is intellectual? How you can steal something from? Are you going to steal some books, or are you going to, click some pictures and send it back to your country, or this espionage or this spying thing that USA is saying? How exactly it works? So I'll give you one example, and I believe this will help you understand how it works. So let's say this is a university in USA, and here is China. So what China will do is China will send one of its student, a genuine student, but a student who is ready to work for the government of China or for the military establishment. So this student will be sent to this university. They will apply for, just like any other student, he or she will apply for admission. And if they get admission, then, they will join the course. In future, they can join the research work as well, like in foreign universities, particularly in big universities. How it works is that either you should have money for your PhD course, and that is very expensive. It is in crores, right? 3 crore, 4 crore, 5 crore is the amount that you have to pay for your fees, and for research you have to travel to various different places. So on an average, if 10 crore as well, if I say, then that is for 3-4 years. That means I won't be surprised if that will be the cost for doing PhD in some big universities. So either you get sponsorship. So if you get sponsorship, then everything will be looked after. But if you have to pay, then you have to pay the money if you don't get sponsorship. So what happens many times is that Chinese government will provide a sponsorship, or when I say Chinese government, it will be a university or a Chinese university, or maybe Chinese industry or any factory or something like that. A business will provide this money to the student, and the fees will be paid. So that is an income for the university, of course, but that is by paying just this much amount of fee, you are allowing a person to be part of your research institution, and this person will have access to so many things, right? How you do things, how you do it, and your work culture, your structure, the best ways of doing it, negative things, positive things. Because see, when someone else is looking at your house, or your when if you invite someone, right, or if you visit a place or a country or a city, then our way of looking is different from the people who are living there, because they are so much used to with the things, they cannot see that thing because they are used to with it. But as a third party or as an outsider, we can see good things and bad things quite clearly because we are not used to with that system. So the same thing happens here. They can see the strength and weaknesses, and they will send all this data back home. So let's say if you are enrolled in a course, and if the first day if you have done XYZ, then they will report everything back home, and someone else will do the same or will try to do XYZ back home. Next day if you do ABC, then replication will take place back home. They will do ABC. So this way they are stealing things, and this is how it works. Then concern over industrial espionage. It's very important that your business secrets are well protected. Just imagine if your rival will know what you are doing, what's going on inside. I'm not talking about your product. I'm talking about how you are doing it, as well as what are your trade secrets and how you are taking decisions and what's your exact position at present. What is your next move? How you are going to take that next move? What are the people who are helping you or supporting you? So if these things are available to your rival, then that will be an asset for your rival, but that will be a big weakness for you, and that can destroy you as well. So they are doing this thing as well. And industrial espionage, USA believes that people are joining so many factories and industries, and once they join, then they are sharing these trade secrets to the government of China as well as military establishment. So these are a few things. I have given you a big picture. If you go through the article, then you won't find this many points. But when I found this word, intellectual property of academia, so I thought I should throw some more light on this thing, because I'm not sure how many of you were aware about these things. And this is just one example that I have given you. It's much deeper, it's much wider. Then on your screen you can see this map. This is map of China, and this red portion here, this is Xinjiang Autonomous Region. You might have heard about it because of Uyghur Muslims. Now recently USA has decided that it is going to block imports from Xinjiang province, particularly of cotton and potatoes, because Xinjiang, see, China produces 20% of global cotton. 20%, 1/5 of cotton is produced by China, and most of its cotton is coming from this region called Xinjiang. But here what they are doing is, what the Chinese government is forcing people, or the forced labor is going on here, human right violations are going on here. So this is the reason why USA has decided that it is going to block the import of commodities like cotton and potatoes from Xinjiang. So China is going to do a tit for tat. So this is going to exacerbate this Cold War that is going on. And at present, political situation in USA is more like a pressure cooker, because on 3rd November they are going to have this election, isn't it? So this sort of decisions by Trump administration will create a positive image in his followers' mind, and these are some fresh steps that will stay in the fresh memory of voters. So this looks like, of course, there is a touch of reality, but we cannot ignore the touch of politics in these recent decisions. Please make sure, dear friends, that you share this lecture with other students. Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion, and please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have already subscribed and if you have already pressed that notification bell, then can I request you guys to inform 3 more students about StudyIQ education. Glimmer of hope. Now, dear friends, we have 2 articles on India and China. We are going to talk about this one. Then I have one more that will throw some more light on the history of India and China's relationship. I'm talking about after independence history. Like we are going to talk about Prime Minister Nehru's era and the decisions that were taken and what China did and things like that as we move on to the last article of the day. But here, this article is about this recent meeting that took place between foreign ministers of India and China at Moscow, that is Russia. Both nations have came out with this 5-point consensus, and this 5-point consensus, it is talking about this current situation. It says that this current situation is not, it does not look good, it does not, this current situation suits neither China or India. This consensus or this statement is also saying that troops should quickly disengage as quickly as possible, maintain proper distance, and ease tensions as quickly as possible, of course. So these are a few words, or these are a few positive things that we find from this recent foreign ministers meeting between India and China. So far so good, but this is not a big ray of hope. This is just a tiny spark. This is just a glimmer of hope. Because the thing is that both sides have repeated the things that we have agreed earlier on. Each point outlined in a joint statement has been affirmed previously by the 2 neighbors, both in past boundary agreements and in talks held since June 2020 that have failed to de-escalate tensions. Early on as well, we have repeated the same things. So I'm not sure whether we are going to see any positive result out of this meeting. But indeed, it is a glimmer of hope. If this tiny baby step can lead us to next level, and if gradually or incrementally, if we can solve this problem, then that will be beneficial for both nations. At present, we have tense LAC, and this tension is one of the worst since 1962. I'm sure you are aware about this fact that back in 1962, India and China had a war with each other. Unfortunately, we lost that war. There are many reasons behind it, and we have learned so many lessons as well from that defeat. Anyway, 2017 formulation, this Wuhan spirit or Wuhan discussion that took place between India and China. Remember, after this Doklam issue, Prime Minister Modi visited Wuhan in China, and he had like 3-4 days informal discussion with Xi Jinping. And back in 2017, both nations have decided that we will not allow differences to become disputes. Of course, we are neighbors. Of course, we have we used to have, I would say, or I won't say good relation, but our relationship is more professional. I have explained this thing early on as well, isn't it? Personal touch is a little bit less. It's more professional. So basically, it was decided that we will not allow differences which are naturally going to take place because we are neighbors and we deal with each other in so many different areas. So differences should not lead to disputes. Right? We will have problems with each other. There will be some differences, but we should not allow it to become a big thing. This was decided back in 2017. But can we see its implementation in real world? The answer is no. And I would blame China for it, and of course not India for it. So China is the main reason why this sort of things are going on. And I'm not saying it just as an Indian. I'm analyzing this thing, and I'm telling you whatever I know, whatever the the things that I have studied and observed, and I've gone through articles and whatever I know, right, I'm sharing it with you guys, and I want you guys to form your own opinion. Of course, I'm not forcing my opinion on you, but I think, and I not just to think, I strongly believe that this is how China behaves, right? China will create trouble in your territory, and China is an naysayer. It will not accept. I'm sure we all have encountered this situation when you are discussing some facts and logical things with someone, and someone will just say, no, that is not possible. Then you cannot win that person. You cannot win that argument. You cannot convince that person, because that person is not going to accept anything, whatever you are trying to tell that person. So both sides this time have said that we will abide by all existing agreements. We will continue our dialogue. We will expedite work on finding confidence building measures to maintain peace at LAC. Now the key question is that will we see a back to normal situation or return to status quo ante? That is the big question, because India will not accept anything. India is not here to do any sort of negotiations. Our stand is clear. We want to see status quo ante and nothing less than that. The issuing of joint statement was somewhat unusually accompanied by separate press statements which struck discordant notes on key issues. So that is also quite strange, that we issued a joint statement and later on there were separate press statements, and in this press statements we find some discordant notes. And I would further, I'm interested in clarification from Indian side and not from Chinese side, because India has clearly stated that peace on the boundary was essential for ties. If you want to maintain peaceful ties, if you want to maintain smooth ties with India, then you have to create peace. Without peace, if there is conflict sort of situation at borders, then that will impact the relationship for sure. This early on thing that we will not allow differences, yes, we agree with it, but if you create troubles at border, means peace at border is one of the most essential things. Without that, relationship will be rough. That's what India has said. But China's statement has quoted India's foreign minister as saying India believed China's policy towards India had not changed and that it did not consider relations to be dependent on the settlement of the border question. I want to know more about it from our Ministry of External Affairs. Right, the government of India should throw some more light on it, so there should be no confusion within us, as well as China should know it clearly that India is clear about it, that peace on the border is essential. Without it, we will not move ahead. China's official news agency has blamed India for reckless provocations, and it has asked us to learn from the history. They are talking about 1962, and they said that China will not lose an inch of territory. So it's a glimmer of hope. It's the first step. As I told you earlier on, that if we can achieve something out of it, I would be the happiest person. But I'm not that much optimistic either about it. Smoothing the housing rights of the urban poor. On 31st August 2020, Supreme Court of India, a 3-judge bench headed by Justice Arun Mishra, has ordered that 48,000 slum dwellings situated along the railway tracks in Delhi should be evacuated in 3 months' time. This is not just everything. The most interesting, or I would say the most disturbing, to be precise, part of this judgment is that no court shall grant any stay with respect to the removal of encroachments that shall not be effective. That means Supreme Court, this bench has said that no other court should interfere with it, and even if you do, that will be ineffective. That shall not be effective, to be precise. That means no one will stop state authorities to remove these slum dwellers who are living here alongside this railway tracks in Delhi. That is some 180 kilometers. It's not fully covered, but people are living there. The order is disturbing because it raises serious question about these principles of natural justice. It violates principles of natural justice because without hearing the Juggi dwellers, the court has passed this order. Point number 1. Number 2, they have nothing to do with this case. You won't believe this, but means this slum dwellers, they were not in the scene at all. A case is going on, or was going on this. The name of the case is MC Mehta versus Union of India and others, and it is about this environment pollution, and it is more about this garbage that we find along the railway tracks. So this case was about this garbage, and out of the blue, the court has dragged slum dwellers as well. If we go through Olga Tellis and others versus Bombay Municipal Corporation and others in 1985 case, this is a case or order from Supreme Court that no eviction shall take place without notice and hearing those affected. But here Supreme Court has said that listen to no one, just follow this order. The court ignored its long-standing jurisprudence on the right to livelihood and shelter upheld in various judgments. There are other cases as well. See this one, Chameli Singh versus State of Uttar Pradesh, 1995. The Supreme Court recognized the right to shelter as a component of the right to life under Article 21 and freedom of movement under Article 19, Subarticle 1E. So right to shelter is part of right to life, which is under Article 21 a fundamental right, and here Supreme Court is throwing away, or this order will kick away all these people out of their shelter. I do understand, and I'm sure every one of us is aware about this thing, that these people, the slum dwellers, are not owner of this land. Okay, agree. But the question is, after 7 decades as well, if we have slums, then who are the people we should blame, for this situation in our country? Governments, and I'm not talking about just current AAP government or BJP government or Congress or government in general, so far has failed to provide even a basic thing in our country, a basic thing that I'm not saying this is a basic thing, right? The Supreme Court has said this thing in 1995 that right to shelter is a basic thing. It is your fundamental right to have a house. But in our country, there are crores of people that don't have their own house. And if they don't have it, then what they will do? They will commit suicide, or they will sleep in front of a train. What do you want them to do? They will do whatever they can so that they can carry on their life with this hope that hopefully one day this country will provide a roof on the top of their head. One more thing, and this is something that I have seen, first-hand experience. I have seen this thing, that there are so many politicians. I'm talking about MLAs. I'm talking about MPs. I'm sure you know that MLAs and MPs, they are given residence or houses to live. Do you know there are so many MLAs and MPs in our country, once they are done with their MP or MLA position, they will not evacuate that house. They are still living there by just paying 200, 300 rupees per month, or maybe 500 rupees per month. There are so many officers, their job is over. They have retired from their job, but they are not evacuating. They will not evict their house. They will not leave that property. That is government property. And they illegal encroachers. So why we are not doing anything about these people? Because they are powerful, that's why. This is very sad. This judgment is very sad, to be honest. And in the last 3 years, 5 lakh people have been evicted. In Sudama Singh, in Ajay Makhan case, there are so many other cases as well where we find that Supreme Court has took side, and Supreme Court has upheld the constitution and rights. But here we can see that Supreme Court is, unfortunately, this decision is not logical, to be honest. A game of chess in the Himalayas. We will talk about this whole game of this 1962. So this article starts with this question, that is 2022 another 1962? Yes as well, no. there are few things that are similar, there are few things that are new. As Jaishankar has said that surely the most serious situation along the India-China border after 1962 is the current 2020 situation. Back in 1959, August 1959, first border clash between India and China, a Chinese troop took place in Longzhu. And at that point of time, both sides were accusing or blaming each other. This blame game was going on, that you were the first one to fire, you opened the fire, and then we said that you opened the fire, and this blame game was going on. And something similar is visible even today. Both sides are blaming each other. Now, when the Longzhu incident happened, not many in India might have thought the border tensions would lead to a full-scale Chinese invasion in 1962. Because at that point of time, the then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru and then Defence Minister V.K. Krishna Menon, they used to believe this thing that China will never attack India, and the reason is that they have some information about it, and both countries were victims of imperialism, and the natural leaders of both countries were natural leaders of Asia, because at that point of time Japan's situation was not that great. And to build a relationship a bit further, what India did, India accepted the Chinese sovereignty over Tibet and signed an agreement with Peking. Peking means Beijing, over trade with Tibet. So we basically gifted Tibet. Tibet was not ours, but we accepted this thing that Tibet belongs to China. So we signed an agreement on it, and what we were expecting is that China will respect this McMahon line. China will accept this McMahon line, and China will declare, because we have did this thing, this accepting Chinese sovereignty of Tibet, China will accept McMahon line as a border between China and India. But Nehruji was wrong. Within 2 months, an Indian police patrol team in Kongla Pass in Ladakh came under Chinese attack, and this was a wake-up call for the government of India. Prime Minister asked the Chinese troops to withdraw from Longzhu in return for an assurance from India not to reoccupy the area, and proposed that both sides pull back from the disputed Aksai Chin, where China had already built unilaterally a strategic highway. China started building, highway in Aksai Chin, and India was not happy about it. So we asked them, but they rejected this thing, and not just that, they placed this offer that you hand over Aksai Chin to us, you recognize China's sovereignty over Aksai Chin, and then we will recognize McMahon line as a proper boundary. So Nehruji did all his studies and map and land surveys and revenue records and historical maps, documents, etc. And then he rejected this Chinese offer, and this was what China was. China placed its cards very well, that you do this thing, in return you ask this. If you get it, then the next step of India will be that, then you will take this step. So it was proper planning of China, and we were in this trap of China. So there was this discussion in Delhi in 1960 between Nehru and Zhou Enlai, and it failed. So tensions started escalating at border quite swiftly, and China intensified patrolling along the border. In November 1961, Nehru offered his forward policy, as the part of which India set up patrol posts along the LOC, or beg your pardon, LAC, that is line of actual control. And in 62, we were attacked. Today's situation is different. Today we are also a nuclear power country, and we are powerful compared to what we used to be, because that point of time we were weak. We were just trying to stand on our feet after 200 years of colonial ruling. So we were trying, but today we are a strong nation for sure. But what we need to understand is that China is playing a strategic dominance game. So the strategy which would yield positive outcomes irrespective of strategies of the rival player. So it is this time as well, China is creating this trouble and trying to keep us busy, because China knows that our economy is in trouble. China knows that we are disturbed by COVID-19. China knows that relationship of India is not that great at present when it comes to neighborhood. We are not that great. Our relationship between India and Nepal, India and Pakistan, are not that. We cannot say that they are best at present, isn't it? And so these are the things. So there are so many other things. China is keeping all these things in its mind, and it will try to create these traps for us. So we have to wait and watch, and let's hope that we will not fall in this trap, but we would, very rationally, or I would say very smartly, we will duck these traps, and we will create some traps in which we will see China falling down. So that's basically everything from my side. Dear friends, these are some news items. You can download the PDF and go through them. This one is a bit important one, and I will see you soon. Till then, enjoy your studies. God bless you all. Jai Hind.